Our scripture reading this morning is from the book of Luke, 15th chapter. A very familiar story about the prodigal son. I'm not sure how Peter's going to tie this in baseball. Maybe it's Pete Rose, I don't know. The younger of them said to his father, "Father, give me the share of the property that belonged to me." So he divided his property between them. A few days later, the younger son gathered all he had and traveled to a distant country. And there, he squandered his property in desolate living. When he had spent everything, a severe famine took place throughout that country. And he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to one of the citizens of that country, to send him to his fields to feed the pigs. He would have gladly filled himself with the pods that pigs were eating, and no one gave him anything. But when he came to himself, he said, "How many of my father's hired hands have bread enough and to spare? But here I am dying of hunger. I will get up and I will go to my father. I will say to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Treat me like one of your hired hands.' So he set off and went to his father. But while he was still far off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion. He ran and put his arms around him and kissed him. Then the son said to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son.' But the father said to his slaves, 'Quickly, bring out a robe and the best one and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. And get the fatted calf and kill it. And let us eat and celebrate. For the son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found.' And they began to celebrate. Now his elder son was in the field. And when he came and approached the house, he heard music and dancing. He called one of the slaves and asked what was going on. He replied, 'Your brother has come, and your father has killed the fatted calf, because he has got him back safe and sound.' Then he became angry and refused to go in. His father came out and began to plead with him. But he answered his father, 'Listen, for all these years I have been working like a slave for you. I have never disobeyed your command. Yet you have never given me even a young goat so I may celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours came back, who has devoured your property with prostitutes, you killed the fatted calf for him.' Then the father said to him, 'Son, you are always with me, and all that is mine is yours. But we had to celebrate and rejoice because your brother of yours was dead and has come to life. He was lost and has been found.'"
Heavenly Father, be in our hearts and be in our minds. Amen. This sermon is going to be interesting. I brought a couple things. This is I'm going to walk over here so the choir everyone can This is my Little League bat. When I was 7, it was purchased at the Western Auto store in Princeton, Indiana. So this is the original. I found this in my basement. This is my mitt from the same year, and I bought this. I played 1 year Little League, and then I got chickenpox and did not get to play the next year, and I quit. And that was it. The other show and tell that I have is a signed baseball by Pete Rose. Pete Rose baseball, and it's worth about $4. It's literally worth about $4. So I have a bunch of worthless little items here, and I'm not a huge baseball fan. It's been a long time since I've sat and watched for 4 hours of baseball game. In the typical baseball game, you know how many minutes of action there are? 11. 11 minutes of actual movement in the game. And the amount of money that these guys make. Derek Jeter, you know how much Derek Jeter was paid per at bat last year? Derek Jeter, right? He retired from the shortstop for the Yankees. Great guy. $269,000 an at-bat. That's how much he got paid. So, it's astronomical in terms of the amount the game brings in. It's just huge. I'm not going to be talking a lot about that, but I already did. This whole idea of baseball, I love the game. But I'm going to just cut to the chase and tell you what the sermon is about, and then we're going to dice it up. This sermon is about how we complicate our lives. So if you're wondering, hey, what was he talking about? There you go. How we complicate our lives. And to give you an example of that, I looked up on my iPhone, on my Flipboard app, my favorite app, Flipboard, where it has essays, about an essay about how our lives are so complicated. Well, my phone wouldn't download the article, and I spent like 20 minutes trying to download this article on complicating my life. And I got to the end of it, and I'm like, well, I just complicated my life for 20 minutes. That's 20 minutes I'll never get back, And I don't even know what it said. But it said, don't complicate your life. But anyway, we complicate our lives, right? We totally do. Now we have our phones and access to all different kinds of media. We complicate our lives. At this point, I want to show a video. It's doing awesome. I want to show you a video. It's a YouTube video. By the way, in the beginning, the Bible is about baseball. That is the first few lines in Genesis. Right? That's the best joke I'm going to do, folks, because in the beginning. All right, can we show this clip from October 14th of 2003? It is a game between the Chicago Cubs, which I am a fan of. All right, there we go. All right, did y'all see that? Moises Alou goes up for a foul ball. A guy named Steve Bartman there tries to catch the ball. See him there in the hat, in the headphones, tries to catch the ball. Moises Alou is not happy. He's very angry. Okay, you can shut the clip off. Very good. Thank you for doing that. That guy was about 24, 25 years old. And he, put this down right here. He was attending the ball game, and the Cubs were within 5 outs of going to the World Series. Last time they'd been to the World Series was, I don't know, Roy Rogers was a young man. So, they were very excited, and the fans were getting very, very excited about this. 5 outs to go. Mark Pryor's on the mound. I think he was a rookie at the time, maybe second year. But they were 5 outs away, okay? And they were up 3-0. It was they were up 3-2. So they just had 5 outs, so they were going to be in the World Series. And this ball was hit on an 0-2 pitch, and it was hit to, as you saw, it was hit there, and it was officially just a foul ball. It should have been fan interference. The batter should have been out because of the fan. But I watched an amazing ESPN documentary on it from 2011. It did a great thing. They compared Bill Buckner with the '86 game of the Red Sox and with this guy named Steve Bartman. He interfered with that ball, and his life became very, very complicated. And if you read anything about him, it's really not very hard to investigate, but you look and you see what happened to him. He became an outcast immediately. And just as that was being telecast, the people who were commenting on Fox, the people who were doing the commenting on the game, began to talk about him and began to talk about this thing called the Billy Goat curse that goes way back in the Cubs lore. I don't want to get into the goat thing. That's another sermon. But this guy reached out and he interfered with the ball. The fans around him began to throw things at him, began to yell at him. His life was threatened. The cops had to come in and escort him out. They had 6 cop cars that had to escort him out. They had to put a disguise on him to get him out of Wrigley Field. The cops just literally said, well, where do you want to go? They dropped him off at a friend's house. And his life was threatened that night. Since then, he has been asked to do interviews. He's been asked to do Super Bowl commercials, 6 figures on Super Bowl commercials. He's been asked to be in VIP at Wrigley, and he's turned all of them down. They couldn't even do an interview with him for this documentary. His life became so absolutely complicated because he made the mistake of reaching out there and he reached the ball. It was just an instinct. Probably just a nice guy. He's a financial advisor. And to this day, he's in his 30s now. To this day, he won't do any interviews. Most people don't know where he lived. He's just tried to uncomplicate his life. And the ball, to tell you how complicated things get in our lives, the ball was actually purchased. Or actually, the ball was grabbed up by a Chicago lawyer. And he sold it in December 2013 at an auction to a guy named Grant DePorter on behalf of Harry Carey's restaurant. Anyone remember Harry Carey? Got right. Harry. Okay. Anyway, so he sold this for $113,000. Okay. And you know what they did with this? On February 26th of 2004, they blew it up. They blew the ball up. They detonated it. I've seen pictures of it. It was in this plexiglass little box, and they exploded the ball. And you know what they did with that? They boiled that ball after it exploded. They boiled it, and they took this, and they captured the steam, and they distilled it, and then they added it to the pasta sauce at the restaurant. Okay? That's what they did. And they still can't win a World Series. They still can't do it. This year, the Mets team swept them this year. They still can't do it. We complicate our lives. Baseball has characteristics that are so different from most other games, especially football, rugby, basketball. But baseball has this subtleties of performance. And in baseball, there's all this talk about history, and there's all this talk about perfection. And I love baseball because it's about discipline. It's about you. It's about you on the field controlling your actions. You can't control anything else that's going on in the game. And the reason I want to show you that clip, that outfielder for the Cubs, Moises Alou, really messed up, I think. Because what he did was he got mad. And that was in 2003, where he didn't have a lot of, there were no iPhones at that point. So it was just radio. So everyone in the stadium, all 36,000 people there, saw his reaction and took his lead on it. And their reaction and his reaction spread throughout that entire place. And the Cubs were up 3-0 in that 8th inning. Ended up giving 8 runs up in that inning, and then went on to lose that game 8-3. But that was just game 6. Then the next night, Kerry Wood pitched, awesome pitcher for the Cubs for a couple years. Then they lost the next game. So this was just game 6, not game 7. But their reaction completely took all of the energy out of that place. They were ready to just go crazy there if they had won. But Moises, his reaction, he completely complicated his life. And this kid reached out and touched that ball, and he complicated his life. What does this have to do with the prodigal son? That guy, that story to me is about complicating your life. Here's a guy who had everything. This is probably the greatest short story ever. I love to write. And what Luke did in this story is amazing. Because everything is just right there. And it's the beginning, the middle, and the end, and it's just the perfect story that Jesus tells. This guy complicated his life. He had everything going for him. He had the inheritance, he had everything, and what did he want to do? He wanted to take it, he wanted to do what he wanted to do with it, and he said, I'm going to take it and I'm going to go hard. And when he was done, and when he was bankrupt, in spirit and in his pocketbook, he said, wait a minute, what's happening here? And then he spends the rest of his life doing what? Uncomplicating his life. Right? In humility, he has to go back. It's like sometimes in life we tie ourselves up in knots, and then we have to try to untie them. Has anyone ever tied their life up in a pretty tight knot? Right? And then you have to spend some time loosening that knot up. Well, this Steve Bartman character in the Cubs story, this one little motion complicated his life, ruined his life, and to this day has not gotten over it. We complicate our lives. The prodigal son complicated his life. And I'm wondering to myself, should we just try to not complicate our lives? Or should we expect that we're going to complicate our lives? Should we expect, my wife and I, should we expect my children to complicate their life? Parents, all right? If you're a parent, especially if you've got kids who are grown, probably the most difficult thing, I imagine, is to watch your kids walk into something and you know that's probably not going to turn out all that great. And you see your children complicate their life. Or you see a friend, or you see a brother or a sister complicate their life. How many people do you know who win the lottery, who live a wonderful, productive, peaceful life after that? The vast majority go bankrupt. You know how many NFL players go bankrupt? 1 out of 6. 1 out of 6 NFL players go bankrupt. 16% lose all their money, complicate their life. Mike Tyson, $300 million, blown. Right? Complicates our life. We get so tied up in things. And it can sometimes just be a little motion out there that we really didn't mean to do. And then we have to spend so much time unraveling it. I spend so much of my professional life working with drug addicts, with people who complicate life. And I have to sit there and I have to listen to them. And I have to be patient with them and say, I will help you uncomplicate your life. Why did you do that? I have a young man who's I'm going to be going to court for him in December. And I've been working with him for 2.5 years, and it's tough to watch people complicate their life. To make these decisions that have huge ramifications. So, I want to ask you this. Is your life complicated? Is it? I'm assuming that everyone's life, to some extent, is complicated. But, is there something, or are there some things that you can do to uncomplicate it? What could you do today. One thing, and this is for everybody. A lot of the youth, you have iPhones. What's one thing that you could do that if you took that out of your life, be a whole lot simpler? Okay? Be thinking about this. I'm serious about this. We all have those Steve Bartman moments. Right? We all have those moments where we get things just all under love. We're like the prodigal son. We think it's a good idea to go take the money and do what we want to with it. It's not such a good idea. What's one thing? Because I know a lot of people, myself included, who get stressed out. Stressed out. Boy, wouldn't it be nice if we could cut this out? Or if we could cut this out? Boy, wouldn't it be nice if we could just start the day out with prayer? Or start the day out with reading? Or start the day out in a different way? Or maybe put the phone up. Turn the phone off. Maybe not watch the news. Maybe go on a news fast. Right? Don't watch the news. Turn off Fox News. Turn off MSNBC. Turn off CNN. Turn off some of these things which inundate you, which really get your life more and more complicated. Don't get on Facebook so much. All right? Don't look through your feed on Facebook. Don't. I took myself off Facebook. I did. I took myself off. It's complicated. I'm done. I don't want to hear about, you're eating a cheeseburger and you like it. I don't care. I don't care about your cat. It's done. I don't want to hear about it. It complicates my life. I got stuff to do. I got kids to raise. I got drug addicts to look after. I'm a pastor at Sharon. I got some good things happening in my life. I love my life. But I have just a few certain things that I do. And I'm not perfect, believe me. I'm certainly no baseball player. But I have learned this at age 47. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. Because we can get things so worked up. We can get things so complicated. And I don't think that we can really be a Christian in this world, in this complicated world of ours, if we have all these things coming at us and we can't listen to God. Because all of these things that I put in between me and God are not healthy for me. And to me, that's sinful. The word sin means missing the mark. I'm missing the mark when I have all of this technology and complicated relationships and this and that. What do you have right now that complicates your life? And just today, take that one thing and start to cut back on it. I've given you a few instances of what I've done. But you have to fill those blanks in. This Christianity stuff is about you and God. It's about you and God, and that relationship is important. When you have things in between that, doesn't go well. All right? Let's pray for Steve Bartman, wherever he is. Let's pray for ourselves as we continue to look for ways in which we can get close to God. And the one thing today, take that out of my life and it's a whole lot better. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, pray for each person here this morning, and for that one thing that we can take out of our life. That one annoying little trait, characteristic, habit that we have that stands between you